Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about dog-friendly hikes. This is such an exciting and fun topic. I can already see my dog smiling. I've been lucky enough to experience hiking in Yosemite National Park, Yellowstone, the Grand Teton, Zion, all over the Eastern Sierras, Hawaii, even Greece and Mexico. And I think I've done every hike on the island of Oahu. But we are so lucky here that from just about any home, we can drive 10 or 15 minutes and we are at one of the most spectacular hikes that this world has to offer. And we get to take our dogs too. Hey, can you hear that in the background? Perfect timing. The Central Coast has some gorgeous hikes and most are open year-round. It's so awesome. And you can find gorgeous hiking trails all over the Central Coast. Rio Grande has some amazing hikes, so does Santa Margarita. There are spectacular hikes along the coastline, although most of the hikes along the coastline are not so dog friendly. So even if you have an app and it says, oh, dog friendly, when you show up to most of the hikes on the coast, you're going to find that dreaded sign that says no dogs allowed. And I really need to take my dogs hiking. Dogs are one of my 8 passions in life. Family, clients of friends that have become family, coffee, wine, traveling, giving back, learning, and the dogs. I'm so sorry, cats. It's not you, cats. It's the dogs. The dogs are my favorite. My personal favorite dog-friendly hikes are in Atascadero and San Luis Obispo. So today I'm going to cover 9 of those hikes in Atascadero and San Luis Obispo. And I'm saving my favorite hike for last. And at the very end of this video, I'm going to give you a few tips for hiking here in our area. So stay tuned. Oh, and a big PS. All of the video and photos of these hikes that you'll be watching today are straight off of my iPhone from hiking with my family, my friends, and my doggies. Let's start off in Atascadero. One of the hikes that has the most diversity of landscape and foliage is Rocky Canyon Trail. It's a 7.7 mile out and back hike, and it's rated moderate by the All Trails app, which is the app I'm going to use for all 9 of these hikes today. Rocky Canyon Trail starts out actually on a paved road, and then it turns into dirt as you make your way past a rock quarry, and then it'll become a more traditional trail. You'll go over a few little bridges, and then you hike up the side of a canyon, which has the creek at the bottom of it, and you're able to overlook that as you're walking along. There are succulents growing out of rocks, there are oak trees, and all kinds of other foliage, and this is one of the most arid hikes that we have around here. So in the summer, it does get really hot. Parking is in Atascadero at the corner of Halcon Road and Rocky Canyon Road, right by the bridge. And then the end of the trail where you're going to turn around is on Rocky Canyon Road in Creston, and this all used to be one road. It was Rocky Canyon Road from Creston to Atascadero, but way back in the 50s the bridge fell, it was never rebuilt, and it became a trail. This hike is also really popular with mountain bikers and horseback riders. Next up is Stadium Trail. Actually, there's 2 trails here. You go over and park on Capistrano, and our favorite is the 2-mile loop, which is also rated moderate by All Trails. It only takes about 45 minutes, and it has sweeping views of downtown Atascadero. And once you get up to the top, you're going to find a monolith that was placed by some locals, and then overlooking the back side of the mountain, you'll see the expanse of the Salinas River Valley. It really is a beautiful short hike. I don't think I've ever seen horses here, probably just because it is such a short hike, but mountain bikes, yes. Okay, next up is Jim Green Trail, super easy. The only one of the 9 that's rated easy by All Trails. And it's only 1.6 miles. So some people I know will do the trail twice for their workout. And it is popular with both mountain bikers and horseback riding. Even though it's so short, it's very nearby the Salinas Riverbed and the De Anza Trail. It is a very shaded hike. There are oak trees throughout the entire trail. And during the springtime, it is just gorgeous. There are so many bright green colors in the grasses. The trees have moss, there's fungi, all kinds of colorful flowers. And when you get to the top, you're going to have a view of the Atascadero Chalk Mountain Golf Course. Parking is right at the end of Cortez. Every time we round that corner from Cerro to Cortez, our dogs know where we're going. They get so excited. Next up is Three Bridges Trail, which is named after the three bridges right along Morro Road where the trailhead starts. And you can park along there, Morro Road. The official trail parking, though, is over off of Carmelita. And this one starts off with a creek crossing. So if it's more than ankle deep, it might be closed. And even if it's not closed, you're not going to want to go through there. But once you do get across the creek crossing, you'll be meandering through the oak forest. And then you'll start to make your way up through switchbacks in the brush, and the views of Atascadero and Templeton will start to open up. When you get to the top, you're going to have views of all of Atascadero and into Templeton. You can see the vineyards. It's just gorgeous up there. It is a little tight up there. Most of our hikes have a more spread out feel where if you end up at the top of the hike with several other groups, there's a lot of room. And this one doesn't. So if other people are there, quick, get your pictures and then start to make your way back down. This trail is part of an oak preserve. And one more little tricky thing about this trail, there is a little loop at the bottom. So whether you head to the right or the left on the loop, once you get to the junction of the loop, go up. Otherwise, you won't get the full experience of Three Bridges Trail. Next up is Cerro Alto. This one is actually just outside of Atascadero, on your way to Morro Bay on the 41, and this is the hardest hike on my list. It is actually rated as hard by All Trails, and that's because not only is it 4.5 miles, we have quite an elevation gain of over 1,600 feet. When you get to the top, it's over 2,600 feet elevation, one of the highest points in SLO County. But that also means it has the most incredible view. Cerro Alto is one of 3 peaks in this video that are part of the 9 Sisters, a chain of volcanic mountains that run from the Edna Valley in SLO all the way into Morro Bay, with the final one being the iconic Morro Rock. You'll park at a campground and you'll start off meandering along the creeks. It's gorgeous. There are ferns and water, all kinds of interesting little wildlife. And then you'll make your way up to the switchbacks, and you'll be trekking on those switchbacks back and forth for a while, but the views are amazing, even partway up the mountain. And when you get to the top, it is just spectacular. Not only can you see the inland hills and valleys, but also miles of coastline. It's just beautiful. This hike might be my favorite, but for 2 reasons it's not. One, it's just a little bit harder than what I like to do on a typical Saturday morning. And the other is it is the only hike that I know of here in our county that has a fee for parking. You park at the campground and it does cost $10 per vehicle. Oh, and let me talk about the campground. If you're thinking of camping, squirrel, but it is a beautiful campground. It's just a little off of Highway 41, but it's so private, so serene, you're in nature, and it's dog friendly too. Okay, let's move on to San Luis Obispo. Let's start off with Madonna Mountain, another one of my favorites and one of the 9 Sisters. This is a 3.9 out and back trail. However, there are several options for hiking this mountain, and there's all kinds of twists and turns, so I do recommend to set aside a little bit more time than what you might usually spend for 3.9 miles. Maybe set aside at least a couple of hours. Because if you make a wrong turn, you might find yourself on the long route. I'm speaking from experience here, but don't fret. If you do end up on the long route, it always brings you right back down to the same place near Madonna Inn at the exit of Marsh Street. Madonna Mountain is also known as Cerro San Luis, and when you hit the Cerro San Luis trailhead, you'll start climbing elevation pretty quickly. It's a beautiful hike. The views are gorgeous along the way. You can see all different parts of San Luis, including Laguna Lake. And if you're going during winter or some parts of spring, there's little creeks and streams and waterfalls during all different parts of your hike. The dogs love sniffing around and splashing, so that makes it fun too. Once you get to the top, you'll feel like you're looking eye to eye with Bishop's Peak, another one of the 9 Sisters that we'll be talking about very soon in this video. And on your way back down, if you find the big M on the side of the mountain, or you find yourself in a lemon grove on your way back down, then you took the long way back. You pulled a Heather. but not a bad mistake to make. It's beautiful no matter which way you come down the mountain, and your dogs will love the extra time. Next on our list is Reservoir Canyon Trail, located just off the 101 north of San Luis Obispo on a street called Reservoir Canyon. What do you know? Once you park here, before you head up the main trail, there's a little side trail off to the right, and it's probably about 2 minutes out and 2 minutes back, and it will take you to, at the right time of year, one of the most spectacular waterfalls I've ever seen here on our central coast. Definitely worth the 5-minute round trip. This is a 5.5-mile loop trail, and it's rated moderate by AllTrails, but I would say it's bordering on the harder side, and there is a lot of thick brush at the beginning of the trail as you're making your way up. And when you get to the end of this video, one of my tips is about poison oak. Make sure you watch that. Reservoir Canyon is the only trail that I have ever personally turned around from and gone back to choose a different trail for that day after the overgrowth of poison oak was so much there was no way to avoid touching it. If the poison oak is cleared, you'll meander through some switchbacks at the beginning of the trail, and then you'll immediately open up to beautiful views of the hills, and at the top you're going to find a bell tower and gorgeous views of San Luis Obispo. Next on our list is Johnson Loop Trail. It's rated moderate, but I don't know why. It's a pretty easy trail. It's only about 3.5 miles, and it's a loop with very little elevation gain. It's really popular for mountain bikers, and it's perfect for old ladies like me or young kids to learn how to mountain bike. It's also a great hike for a little run, or maybe you have a new puppy and you're trying to train him how to hike. Perfect hike for that. It's also really easy to find. It's right off the 101 in between San Luis Obispo and Avila Beach. There are so many more gorgeous trails in San Luis Obispo. There are Cal Poly trails, Irish Hills, Terrace Hills, South Hills Open Space, a couple of different hikes at the Cuesta Ridge trails, and High School Hill is really popular too. But we only have so much time in this video, and it's time to get to my favorite dog-friendly hike here in Central Coast Wine Country, which is Bishop's Peak. I just love Bishop's Peak, and so do my doggies. I love to take the Patricia Street Trail. However, there are several access points and trailheads that will lead you up Bishop's Peak. Off Patricia, you're going to have about a 3.5-mile out and back hike, rated moderate. You'll start off fairly level, meandering along the boulders and the oak trees. And then as you start to make your way up the first switchbacks, you'll notice some really big boulders that are popular with rock climbers, like Colin. Here's a picture of Colin rock climbing right there at Bishop's Peak. Then you'll meander along the mountainside with a little bit of shade, and then you'll head up into the switchbacks where it's mostly sun and rocks and boulders and slabs of all different kinds. You'll see rock climbers along the way, and once you're on the upper third of the trail, your dogs will be hopping over the boulders and up the rock steps. And as soon as you get to that portion of the hike, you see the views. It is absolutely stunning. Very similar to Madonna Mountain, you'll see Laguna Lake, the valley leading to Los Osos. You'll also be able to see the valleys leading to both Cuesta and Cal Poly. And when you get to the top, even though you're only sitting about 300 feet above Madonna Mountain, that little bit of extra elevation does a lot for the view. It is just beautiful. Spectacular views. Worth the hike for sure. And there's also some really incredible rock formations at the top. I've never seen bikers or horses on this trail, probably because of those rock steps on the upper portion of the trail. But for humans and dogs, it's a favorite. And now I have some tips for you. In the summertime on any hike, and in the wintertime, anything that's over 1.5 to 2 miles, you're going to want to take some water. Take water for yourself, and take something to pour the water in for your doggies. They're going to want it. Also, make sure to slather yourself with sunscreen, especially in the summer when we're outside all the time. That sun is going to beat down on you, and you don't want to come back with a sunburn. Jim Green Trail is mostly shade, so I don't always sunscreen up for that one, but I probably should still recommend to you to use your sunscreen. You also need to bring doggy bags to clean up your doggy doo, and a leash. All the trails require a leash, and we always like to bring some towels to pat our dogs off, and even a blanket in case the dogs get in some mud or some horse dropping. Another consideration is wildlife, but the most pesky wildlife that we have is the mosquitoes in the spring and summer. Movement seems to be the best option to keep the mosquitoes away. You will want to keep your eyes open for other wildlife though. In all of my hiking, I've only ever come across one snake, but it was a rattlesnake and it was having its lunch right on the trail. So keep your eyes open, especially during the summer and hot fall months for snakes. Our cousin Randy was actually bit by a rattlesnake once. If you do get bit, call 911 right away. She did that, and they actually medevaced the antivenom into her, which prevented her from having any long-term effects from the bite. And we do have mountain lions and bears here. Again, in all of my hikes, I haven't even seen one like the snake, but we've seen signs of them and they are here. Incidents are very low, but it's a good idea to hike during the middle of the day since predators are out at night. Carry some pepper spray, and if you do encounter one of these animals, don't run. Stand tall and slowly back away. And then call me and tell me about it. Yikes. And last but not least is poison oak. Here is what the poison oak looks like at the beginning of spring, and then it slowly starts to turn this red color. If you see it, don't touch it, and if your dogs touch it, don't touch them. You catch poison oak from the oils that are on the leaves. So if your dogs brush up against it, get them in the car. When you get home, wash them, use gloves. Take those gloves, bring everything in and wash it, and then hopefully you won't get the poison oak because just a little bit of that oil will make you super uncomfortable for days or weeks. Speaking from experience, fortunately I haven't caught poison oak since I was a kid because I am watching out for it after having learned about a dozen lessons as a kid. Okay, that's it for one of my favorite topics, the dog-friendly hikes of wine country. But if you're subscribed to our channel because you're interested in real estate here and you want to learn a little bit more about Atascadero and San Luis Obispo real estate, click the links below to watch our videos on the best neighborhoods in Atascadero and San Luis Obispo, or click the link below that for our free relocation guide. Thanks for watching. Bye!